Stanley Cup final. I appreciate the opportunity and value the opportunity to play, and yeah, it's just it's a privilege to be here.
Sergey, when there's
Well, that was after the game last night. Again, a big 6-1 win, and Game 4 in South Florida scheduled for Thursday night with a chance to really take a commanding 3-1 lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. You saw there President Trump arriving in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He is expected to speak shortly, commemorating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon for Florida Live. We are here weekdays at 2 o'clock, 2 to 3 p.m. right here on Fox Local and on YouTube. So we will see you again tomorrow.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good afternoon to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is 4 o'clock, and that means it's time for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down 4 of the big stories that we're tracking in the Fox 35 newsroom today. And joining me for today's Top 4 at 4, Fox 35 News anchor John Brown. John,
all right, let's get right to it. Good to see you. All right, protests, in some cases the riots taking place in California, especially Los Angeles, continue at this hour over the illegal immigration raids taking place by the Trump administration. They say it's gotten so violent at times, you can see the flames right there, that the president has not only sent in the National Guard, he's also sending in the Marines. The president and his advisors say this is needed, but others say this is way over the line. California state leaders say this is all counterproductive and overreaction to deploy the military personnel. As federal officials detailed Tuesday, it's also going to be very expensive. It's going to cost the federal government $134 million to deploy the troops to that area for a 60-day period. That's according to a lot of reports. The Associated Press reporting the total deployment is about 4,100 National Guard, 700 Marines, and that equates to about $28,000 per troop. Now, supporters of the move acknowledge that this is expensive, but they point out it may actually be cheaper than the damage that has been done during the violent protests several years ago. So you can see it has gotten more than just peaceful protest as it's gone over the past couple of days here.
Yeah, President Trump spoke in the Oval Office earlier today and obviously talked about this and was asked a number of questions about this. And one of the things he echoed again today, his claims that those protesters are, quote, called them paid insurrectionists. Take a listen.
If we didn't get involved, right now, Los Angeles would be burning, just like it was burning a number of months ago with all the houses that were lost. Los Angeles right now would be on fire, and we have it in great shape. We're not playing around.
How will you determine whether or not there is an insurrection?
Well, you'll take a look at what's happening. I mean, I could tell you there were certain areas of Los Angeles that you could have called it an insurrection. It was terrible. But these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They get money. And when you take a look at what they do.
Meanwhile, here in Florida, Governor DeSantis really taking advantage of this to kind of show the contrast between what he says is happening in California and what's happening here. with immigration enforcement and what he says the embrace of law and order in the state. Here's some of what the governor had to say.
But that isn't going to fly in Florida. This is not Los Angeles. This is the free state of Florida. So we respect the law. We respect the people that are executing the law. If you don't like the laws, then vote for people to change the laws. You don't have the right to just simply opt out of federal immigration law. And I think what's happened in California is they were a sanctuary state. They've taken the position really uninterrupted for many, many years that they can just ignore the law. They don't have to cooperate. Well, now you have the law being applied. And honestly, I think in the initial stuff that was done, this was ICE going after people that were on felony warrants that had done things that are really, really bad. And yet they're out there burning things down, massive looting last night. I'm seeing these stores being looted. That doesn't fly in Florida at all. So
I'm watching what's playing out right now in LA. We talked about what keeps you up at night. What keeps me up at night is this is happening in our country. And I fear, if in LA specifically, that you're going to have your work cut out for you and have to bring to bear all of the talents and experiences you used in the military, but all of your relationships working with state and locals. And hopefully they'll come around to their senses by then and work with the federal government to ensure security. And I wish you well with that.
So first, that was Governor DeSantis during the cabinet meeting this morning, and then that was Senator Moody during a Senate subcommittee hearing where they were specifically talking about security for sports events like the Olympics coming in 2028 to the Los Angeles area and some other places, the World Cup, a number of other things.
Well, DeSantis said it before. It won't happen in Florida, and he said it again, so he's doubling down on that. All right, the state attorney's office has determined that the Titusville police officers were justified in using deadly force in the shooting death of a 25-year-old man after a disturbance call back in February. That decision means the officers involved will not face criminal charges in connection with the shooting of Trimeria Charles. Investigators said that he was shot 10 times, including several times as he ran with a gun away from officers, from what prosecutors said was a violent confrontation. The announcement comes after months of protests from family and Titusville residents, and also some concerns from the city council over this. And it was all over the police chief saying he would not release the video from this incident. The Titusville police chief, John Lau, said early on in the case that he was not going to release it, even if the public and the mother asked for this to be made public. He said the FDLE investigation was going to continue, and even as the protests continued to mount, he said it will be released in due time. So he stuck to that. People kept wondering why this was going on so long, and but in many cases, there's not a policy in place to say you got to release it in 30 days or 90 days, and he kept pointing it out. It'll be released when the investigation is over here.
Yeah, and we know that's one of the things that the folks are expected to push for at a Titusville council meeting later today. But from Titusville Police expected to meet on Wednesday, I believe, with the mother of Trimeria Charles, show them that video, and then release the video to the public the following day. So we will see what that shows.
All right, let's talk about the daily Marcos Lopez investigation here. Former sheriff of Osceola County, I guess suspended sheriff, I should say, has a hearing scheduled for tomorrow at noon in Lake County. Court records show his attorney is going to request a motion to reduce his bond and modify the GS monitor condition of his release. As of today, Lopez has remained in jail since his arrest back on June the 5th, being held on that $1 million bond of charges of racketeering and conspiracy, and that is according to some courtroom officials there. So we'll see where this one goes. I have a feeling we're going to be following this story for a long time, because even people who are close to him say coming with $1 million, proving that it was your money, not justified from illegal activities, that's going to be tough for most anybody.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the big question is being able to prove that and what all that entails.
Yes, you can't prove it because that's what those guys do. The forensic accountants, that's what they do. Right. So I don't know that I would want to prove my assets and liabilities, right? Where did this come from? Shh. My wife's right there. Let's move on, okay? All right, big concert tonight. You ready for this one? Yes, Jason DeFord and Austin Post. That's the concert. Jason DeFord and Austin Post.
Ah, okay.
Okay, you want to go with Jelly Roll and Post Malone is what you're saying.
That sounds more entertaining,
All right, yeah. Here's interesting. I was reading the reviews of this concert. It's going to take place right there at Camping World Stadium. Still tickets available, starting at like $60. It's going to be so hot. It is going to be
Yeah.
hot. Expecting some showers there. So I was reading the reviews from other concerts around the country with this one. These guys are getting rave reviews. They call them dual headliners. There's some other acts that usually come on first. Interesting, though, they made the parallels here. They said this is genre-free music because no matter what kind of music you like, these guys are going to bring it. They start as rappers, blurred into some hip-hop, then some pop music, top 40 hits, now country, and they kind of both came from the country vibe anyway. And so they say they work it all in amazingly. I would love to go see this concert. And even, I think they said it was Post Malone even starts singing a Celine Dion song somewhere in the middle of it.
Oh, wow.
And shows his range. So,
Okay.
I mean, he's got a unique voice. I've always
Yeah.
said that. There's something unique about him that I like. And my kids have always been a big fan of his. And I wasn't until they really got me into it, especially as he got more and more country and things like that. You can see his versatility. And Jelly Roll, saw him one time. He was over Daytona one time. I know he's lost some weight. He's a big dude. He even says, I got a ways to go, but that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah,
gonna be a nice
it's going to be a
concert.
big show, big
Yeah.
crowd expected out there. Now, the big question is the weather. Hoping that, because, rain, obviously, you can deal with.
Mhm.
It's not ideal, but you can deal with it. But could be some lightning, could be some storms, and we certainly hope that is not the case tonight for that concert. But you mentioned the heat. I went to the Metallica shows over the weekend
Yeah.
in
Oh my
Tampa,
gosh.
Friday night and Sunday night at Raymond James Stadium, and we were definitely dealing with that heat.
So I was listening to some of the reviews on like Real Radio was talking there. I guess some of those guys were down there too. And I started thinking back, okay, I saw Metallica and I had to go back and look at when I saw them. 1988. It's when I saw them, the Monsters of Rock tour. It was Doc and Van Halen, Metallica, a couple other albums, Scorpions.
Nice.
And like they're all still touring. That was 88. I'm like, how old are these guys? Doesn't matter. They still put on a great show. But yeah, even Docking back then, loved it. So
Crazy.
So people, Metallica, you may have seen the last tour is what they're saying. So maybe that's what they're saying.
Don't tell me that.
But they've said it before.
Right.
I mean, they said it in 1989. But there's still time, I guess.
All right. Well, let's hope the weather holds
Yes,
out
absolutely.
tonight for Post Malone and Jelly Roll, a.k.a. I don't remember the names that you said.
Jason
DeFord.
DeFord and Austin Post.
There
There
you
you have
go. Call them whatever
Big
you'd
names.
like. That is today's Top 4 at 4. John Brown, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Give you a live look at Camping World Stadium. You can see some cars out there going to be growing over the next little bit ahead of that Jelly Roll and Post Malone concert expected in just a couple of hours. And joining me live now is Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Berggren. And Noah, crossing our fingers that the storms will stay away for that.
I will cross my fingers too, Garrett, but sadly I do think the weather will have some impact on that concert. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, you and I can't control the weather. I wish I could. I'd move the storms away. But the point is, if you know somebody who's watching this and is going, you can bring a poncho to Camping World Stadium. I did look it up. They do have a lightning policy. It's pretty standard for an outdoor arena, just like an NFL stadium or a soccer place. So there will be a prolonged delay per every lightning strike, and it does look like, Garrett, that will be the case. We'll take those graphics, and I'll show you the future cast as we head through the evening. So here we are now, about, what time is it now, 4:13. So here's the radar right now. Notice by 6:30, the storms rapidly blow up. You see they're right over Orlando, back towards Dade City, over Osceola County, Brevard County. So by 6 to 6:30, we're seeing storms exploding. And by 7, we've got kind of a line there. You see vertically oriented from about the villages through Camping World Stadium and the theme parks. And some of those storms will be quite strong with a tremendous amount of lightning, some gusty winds, not just downpours, but torrential downpours, possibly a severe storm or two. I can't rule out a brief tornado even tonight because when you have sea breeze storms in Florida, just to backtrack, for everybody listening, there's 3 ways we get storms in summer and rainy season here in Florida. On the west coast sea breeze, which comes in from the Gulf, and you get storms that form on that boundary. They move east. Number 2 is you get storms that move west that form on the Atlantic sea breeze. Sometimes it only makes it to the I-95 corridor. Sometimes that makes it to Lake Mary and Bithlo and UCF. Now the third way, and the biggest way to get big storms, is to get the right sea breeze, the Atlantic, to collide with the left, the Gulf, and then when they rain into each other, you get even bigger storms. And those are the days in the afternoons we can have brief spin-up weak tornadoes, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain in 2 hours or an hour, in storms that don't just last for 20 minutes, but last for 2 hours. That's tonight. As you can see how the storms are oriented north to south on the line at 7:30. That's the East Coast sea breeze colliding with the West Coast sea breeze, and they kind of just, I'll play this one more click for you. Notice how they just rain themselves out in position for 2-3 hours. And sadly, that may be located along or just west of that longitude of where Camping World Stadium is. This is 8 o'clock tonight. Still raining at 9, and then maybe the storms start to push back west. Then by 10:30, 10:30, things are wrapping up. So it does certainly like there'll be some kind of weather impact. Whether that concert ends up going on tonight, gets postponed or canceled, I don't know. That's beyond my scope of knowledge. But sadly, it does look like there will be a lot of storms that could impact that tonight. And we'll be watching the radars closely for any severe storms. Now, the change for tomorrow and the rest of the week is that the storms, that collision will be just on the west coast. So the I-75 corridor, a lot more storms. So our rain coverage around Orlando will go down after today for the rest of the week. But temperature-wise, we're still going to be in the 90s as we head through the upcoming weekend. All right. So certainly something to be aware of for all those folks heading out there. Like you were talking about, you can deal with the rain, you can have that poncho, but you certainly need to take cover when it comes to lightning, and like you said, the lightning policy in place for that concert. So not ideal, but I guess that's just something, the risk that you take when you're talking about an outdoor concert this time of year here in Florida. You hit the nail on the head, Garrett. I'm not hating because I wanted to go to the concert myself, but I had to work tonight. And that's part of the bargain. When you buy a ticket to an outdoor concert in Florida in the summer, there's going to be a chance of storms, as you know. I mean, the Metallica was just in Tampa last weekend at Raymond James, and they got off without a hitch. It didn't even rain at all. So it's just luck of the draw in Florida with outdoor summer concerts. Yeah, I was there for those shows, and certainly glad that everything it was a beautiful weekend over in Tampa. So certainly glad for that, and we'll see what happens tonight. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Berggren, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you, sir. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We were talking about it being the rainy season, the stormy season here in Florida, as we wait for that line of storms to really kind of impact our area this evening. We also know it is hurricane season here in Florida, and last week, some lawmakers, officials, and advocates had a conversation on Capitol Hill about legal needs that arise during natural disasters across the region. So it wasn't a conversation that was specific to hurricane season, but it involved folks from agencies and organizations and advocates from around the region, including here in Florida. So obviously the main focus from the Florida side was hurricanes and a lot of questions that come up, a lot of problems that come up in the aftermath of those disasters. This was a forum that was hosted by Congresswoman Laurel Lee, a Republican from Florida's 15th district. So something, again, that she knows well, the impact from hurricanes. That forum focused on the legal needs that come up during natural disasters like hurricanes, and also what can be done to help. And that was the focus of my conversation earlier today with Paul Ferreira, who is a managing attorney with the Disaster Legal Services Unit with Community Legal Services. Had him on Fox 35 News Plus this morning.
Well, typically speaking, in Central Florida, when there is a disaster, like we had 3 of them last season, the legal needs are help with FEMA claims. A lot of initial claims get denied. People don't know the appeals process or unfamiliar with it. We will assist them with that. Landlord-tenant issues arise. My apartment or my rental is damaged, or I can't live in it. Do I still have to pay rent, or what do I have to do to alert the landlord that we need repairs, or that I can't live in the place anymore? There are homeowners insurance issues that arise. Sometimes, claims are denied, or the insured, our client, doesn't receive what they think they should get, so we help them through that process. Flood insurance claims, it's a separate policy from home insurance. We assist them with those. If they have it, we'll explain the process to them and help them with those. Contractors issues. Hey, I paid somebody to show up and help me clean up the place or do repairs. I gave them a deposit and never saw them again. We'll help them with that type of legal aid. Assistance, public benefits. A lot of times after a disaster, there will, the state government will open up certain public benefits, like a DSNAP program that didn't exist before, or wasn't operating before the disaster. People don't know about it. Even if they qualify, we'll help assist them get those resources. A lot of times we get clients that have other issues bundled up with their legal issues, and we'll refer them to other resources, other nonprofits, volunteer organizations that are active after disasters. We'll give them a referral to help them with housing, repairs, cleanup, things like that. Even though those may not be typically legal issues, we'll refer them to other people who can help them.
A wide range of things that can certainly come up during these and after these natural disasters. We know one challenge that can often exacerbate these other things is lost documents, things that people may not have or may not have access to. How does that kind of throw a wrench in things?
Yeah, so up until recently, up until recent disasters, people couldn't make claim on properties that they didn't own. So you get these especially here in Florida, you get these 3rd or 4th generation homes. Grandma and grandpa either built it or bought it, passed it down to their children, and then passed it down to the grandchildren. You've got 3 generations. There's a storm. They go to make a FEMA claim, and the property's still in the grandparents' name. The deed was never updated. So that could be an issue. It's fixable, but it takes time, and people don't get the assistance or relief as quickly as they would like to get it. So that's something to look at before the disaster. Yeah, and then just documents getting wet, destroyed, paper documents, deeds, wills, all of that. There are ways that they can be replaced if they were stored electronically before that, if there were other copies, but we could help recreate those. If everybody's still available, we can help recreate those documents. Recommend that people waterproof their documents prior to a storm. and keep them in a place that they can grab it and take it along with their other stuff if they have to evacuate.
So waterproofing. That was our conversation earlier with Paul Ferreira, managing attorney with the Disaster Legal Services Unit with Community Legal Services. You can watch that full thing right now on Fox Local. We want to get you to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where President Trump walking up to the podium right now to speak to the troops there as he commemorates the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Wow, that's a beautiful sight, and it's a beautiful sight to be with you in a place called Fort Bragg. Can you believe they changed that name in the last administration for a little bit? But we'll forget all about that. Well, we're going to forget all about it. I want to just say God bless the U.S. Army and God bless the USA. Great place, great group. I want to thank so many incredible soldiers and paratroopers, pilots, warriors for that awesome display of pure, unrivaled American military might. I just saw something that was crazy. You don't want to mess. I've been saying a long time, we have the best. Nobody even comes close, but they just gave me a display that you might be lucky not to see it because it's a little scary. It was beautiful to watch. Let's hear it for the Army Special Operations and Command and the 82nd Airborne Division and the 18th Airborne Corps. What a show it was and what a show it continues to be. And Saturday is going to be a big day in Washington, D.C. You know, a lot of people said, we don't want to do that. I say, yeah, we do. We want to show off a little bit. You know, recently, other countries celebrated the victory of World War I. France was celebrating, really. They were all celebrating. The only one that doesn't celebrate is the USA, and we're the ones that won the war. Without us, you'd all be speaking German right now. Maybe a little Japanese thrown in. But we won the war. And we don't celebrate, but we're going to celebrate on Saturday, and we're going to celebrate from now on. We're going to celebrate our greatness and our achievements. This week we honor 250 years of valor and glory and triumph by the greatest fighting force ever to walk the face of the earth, the United States Army. For 2.5 centuries, our soldiers have marched into the raging fires of battle and obliterated America's enemies. There's never been anything like it. There's never been a force like this. And I rebuilt it. I gave you so much money for 4 years. It was crazy. And we just approved our largest budget for military operations, over $1 trillion. We've never even come close. But our army has smashed foreign empires, humbled kings, toppled tyrants, and hunted terrorist savages through the very gates of hell. Our soldiers do not rest until they win. You know that better than anybody. From June 1775 to June 2025, those foolish enough to challenge America's army have been met with unyielding strength, unbreakable spirit, and unstoppable, overwhelming force. Time and again, our enemies have learned that if you dare to threaten the American people, American soldier will chase you down, crush you, and cast you into oblivion. That's what happens, unfortunately. That's what happens. Doesn't sound very nice, but it's true, isn't it? The last sound you ever hear will be the dueling howl of Black Hawks in the dead of night. the thunderous boom of artillery fire or the ferocious roar of a U.S. Army infantry brigade charging over the horizon. That brigade is going to charge like you've never seen before, and hopefully I can keep you out of that, but if I don't, you're ready. Is that right? If I can keep you out of it, if I keep you out of it, that's okay, but if we need it, you're ready. You know, it's called peace through strength, isn't it? Peace through strength. For our adversaries, there's no greater fear than the United States Army. They all fear us, and we have the greatest force anywhere on earth. You know, you read different stories that others are building and building and building. We have a force like no other. They said it would take 5 years to defeat ISIS. We did it in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. We let them go. Unlike other of your leaders, I let them go. And we had General Raisin Kane, who's now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because I liked him. He was a warrior. He was a great warrior. And now he's been rewarded for his incredible work. But they said it would take 5 years, and we did it in 4 weeks. Someday I'm going to ask him to explain that one to me. But it was the television generals that said that. The real generals got out and fought, and nobody fought like them ever. But for the American people, there's no greater pride, because you are the righteous sword of American justice and the ultimate shield of American freedom. This week we remember that we only have a country because we first had an army. The army was first. In fact, the army was even before the country. You know that, right? 1 year before the country. After 250 years, we still proudly declare that we are free because you are strong. You are so strong. We're safe because you are brave, and America's flag will never fall because America's army will never, ever fail. Never going to fail. Every branch of the armed forces has played a critical role in protecting our nation. But no one has done more fighting, bleeding, and winning than the U.S. Army. Nobody's done that. The Army has earned more combat medals and more battle ribbons than any other service, and 70% of all of the medals of honor. We give away medals of honor all the time at the White House to incredibly brave people, but you have 70% of them. Army soldiers, and especially our Army paratroopers, truly go all the way. You know that expression, all the way. It's one of your beautiful expressions. As President of the United States, let me express my undying gratitude to our nation for every soldier here today, for every veteran and their families, those incredible families that are with us and all across America, and for every patriot who has worn the uniform over 250 years. Can you imagine that? We thank you from the absolute bottom of our hearts. Few places loom larger in Army lore than where we are gathered today. The one and only Fort Bragg. The one and only Fort Bragg. But remember, it was only that little brief moment that it wasn't called Fort Bragg. It was by the Biden administration, not Trump. I had nothing to do with it. We got it changed. We said, you know, I came here numerous times, and everybody, they kept saying Fort Bragg, Fort Bragg. I said, you know, it's not the name, but then I was making a speech. I said, what do you think I should call this place? Call it Fort Bragg. I said, Fort Bragg, how you doing? We won a lot of battles from this place, and that's the way it is. It wasn't even close. When Pete and some of the generals came to see me, I said, not even close, not even close. This is the home of the Green Berets, the Sky Dragons, and the All-American 82nd Airborne. We know what 82nd Airborne Division. This is where the GIs who won the Second World War learned to pack their parachutes and push howitzers and go right into those C-47s with lots of arms and push them right out those big, beautiful doors and wield their bayonets and pry the enemy from the hedgerows of the French countryside. France needed us badly. We were there. A lot of people needed us badly. They still do, maybe worse than ever. It was here in the soil that the Army forged the medal that held strong at Bastogne. It was here the mighty paratroopers earned their wings before they rained down death from above to liberate Sicily, Normandy, and even the Netherlands. That's right. We saved the Netherlands. Every inch of this base is steeped in the legacy of those warriors who have said with pride, "Sir, I trained at Fort Bragg, sir." That was pretty cool. And that is why we restored the historic name of this very, very special place. I don't know if it could be the same place. Fort Bragg is in, that's the name. And Fort Bragg, it shall always remain. That's never going to be happening again. And for a little news for the fake news back there, the fake news. Ladies and gentlemen, look at them. Look at them all. Oh, yeah, what I have to put up with. Fake news. What I have to put up with. But they're all right. They've been very nice today. They were impressed with that display, I can tell you that. I think it took them a little by surprise. But for a little breaking news, we are also going to be restoring the names to Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee. We won a lot of battles out of those forts. It's no time to change. And I'm superstitious. You know, I like to keep it going, right? I'm very superstitious. We want to keep it going. So that's a big story. We just announced that today to you for the first time. They said, "Why didn't you wait till Saturday?" I said, "I can't wait. I got to talk to my friends here today." This is a record crowd. You know, you never had a crowd this big. That's an honor. You think this crowd would have showed up for Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to thank so many great leaders here today, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who's been great. By the way, Pete, thank you. Great. And he went through the wars, you know? Pete went through the wars. He had to get through a very hostile group of people that I think really don't want to see America be great again, maybe, or something. But he persevered, and he got there, and he's doing a fantastic job. Great job, Pete. Thank you very much. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, a fantastic man. Thank you, Doug. You're doing a great job. Doing a great, great job. Way, way up from the last administration, Veterans Administration. It's way up. You saw the recent poll. The people are happy. They weren't happy a couple of years ago. They were really happy 5 years ago. But it went downhill from there. We did so much. We got you medical. If you had to wait, if you had to delay at all, you go out to see a private doctor. We pay the bill. You take care of it. You don't wait for 6 months and end up getting very sick on something that could have been done with a little shot or a pill. We did that. Then they wanted to drop that. I said, we're not dropping it. But, Doug, I'm proud of you. I just heard some great things. Thank you very much. The Secretary of the Army, a really brilliant young guy, went to Yale. Can't have everything. Top student. Dan Driscoll, thank you. Thank you, Dan. And we have your senators, Senator Ted Budd and Senator Tom Tillis. Thank you, fellas. Congressman Richard Hudson, Pat Harrigan, where's Pat? Pat? Good, Pat, you're doing great. You guys are amazing. And we have the big brass, General Andrew Pappas. General, thank you. Thank you, General. Doing a great job.
President Trump continuing to speak at Fort Bragg right now. We've got to take a quick break here on Fox Local, but we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Garrett Wymer here. We appreciate you joining us live on Fox Local and on YouTube. President Trump speaking right now at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. Let's go ahead and listen back in.
They were taken away and they had hammers. Oh, wow, how did that happen? And they're pounding the sidewalk. I said, what the hell is he doing? And he's breaking it up and making it into concrete bombs in a way, and they're dropping them on our military. They're throwing them at our military. Pretty good arms they had, too. Hits guys right in the face. Big chunk of concrete, worse than a brick. They're taking them up to the bridges, and they're dropping them in the cars that are going by. These are animals. But they proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. And we'll see if we can get that done. We're going to try and get that done. We're working with some of your senators. I know Senator Josh Hawley is very much involved. And I know the two senators from here. I think you guys, are you guys in favor of it? Boy, would this be a bad time for them to say no. I got you. I got those 2 votes. The agitators are throwing firebombs, Molotov cocktails, lighting vehicles ablaze. You saw the cars that were burning, mobbing police officers and ICE officers who are the toughest people you'll ever meet, and they love our country, and they're getting really they want to stomp on them, but they're too tough. They don't allow it. And attempting to infiltrate and occupy federal buildings wearing armor and face shields. The best money can buy, somebody's financing it. We're going to find out through Pam Bondi and Department of Justice who it is. They're already on it. Who's financing all this equipment? Very professional. Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy, and that's what they are. A lot of those people were let in here by the Biden administration. They just poured right in. They came from prisons, they came from jails from all over the world. They came from mental institutions. They were the leaders of gangs. They were drug lords allowed to come into our country. Their countries threw them out. Their countries would bus them or drive them right to our border and say, go in there, you ever come back, we're going to kill you. And we got them, and we're getting them out of here. I want to applaud the courage and the strength of the incredible troops who are right now standing guard to protect federal property and personnel and uphold the supremacy of federal law. That's what they're doing. They're protecting our ICE agents. They're protecting the police in Los Angeles. The head of the police in Los Angeles, a good man, I hear a good man, but he was actually saying we really did need this help. It had gotten away from them. It had long gotten away. And we gave it to them. Not only are these service members defending the honest citizens of California, they're also defending our republic itself. And they are heroes. They're in there, they're heroes. They're fighting for us. They're stopping an invasion just like you'd stop an invasion. The big difference is most of the time when you stop an invasion, they're wearing a uniform. In many ways, it's tougher when they're not wearing a uniform because you don't know exactly who they are. In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're incompetent. And they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders. That's what it is. They're invaders, no different. Their position is that the rioting will not stop unless ICE withdraws from Los Angeles and ceases the enforcement of federal immigration law. In other words, they came in here illegally. Many of them came out of prisons and jails, the most heinous people. They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo in Africa. They came from Asia. They came from the prisons of these places. They were put into the United States and allowed to stay here because we had a grossly, grossly unfit president who listened to whoever was operating the auto pen. And they allowed these people to stay. And by the way, I've known this guy for a long time. He was never the sharpest bulb. But you know what he was? He wasn't a radical left lunatic. He never dreamt about open borders. He never said that when he was of sound mind, which actually was a very long time ago. So sad what they've done to our country. I will say that without question, however, you're seeing the financial numbers. We've now got the hottest country anywhere in the world. And 6 months ago, it was the coldest country. We're being laughed at all over the world. I was in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. We brought back $5.1 trillion into our country. And all three leaders, they're great leaders, all three said, you know, you are presiding over the hottest country anywhere in the world. And they said the exact same thing. They said 6 months ago, it was the coldest country. I'll tell you, it changed on a date. You know what November 5th was? It was the election of a president that loves you. And that's when it all changed. That's when it all changed. Within the span of a few decades, Los Angeles has gone from being one of the cleanest, safest, and most beautiful cities on earth to being a trash heap with entire neighborhoods under the control of transnational gangs and criminal networks. It's horrible what's happened so quickly. As the entire world can now see, uncontrolled migration leads to chaos, dysfunction, and disorder. And you know what? They have it in Europe, too. It's happening in many of the countries of Europe. They don't like it when I say it, but I'll say it loudly and clearly. They better do something before it's too late. Very simply, we will liberate Los Angeles and make it free, clean, and safe again. It's happening very quickly. The one big, beautiful bill, you've heard about it. We call it the one big, I was on one of the television shows, I think Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Deface the Nation. It's actually called Face the Nation for those of you that are smart enough not to know, because you're better off not knowing. But I was on one of the shows, and I said, we got to get a great bill. They said, would you like it to be one bill, or would you like it to be 7 or 8 bills? They said, I want one big, beautiful bill. And the Republican Party liked that statement. They call it one big, beautiful bill. So that's good. And that's what it is. It's great. And it's currently before Congress. It provides all necessary funding for ICE, for Border Patrol, and for the Department of Defense. And I told you at a level that we've never had before, over $1 trillion. We better get that bill approved. Otherwise, your helicopters and your planes and your equipment's going to start to look a little bit old, General. You better push your favorite congressman. You better push these 2 senators.
President Trump speaking at Fort Bragg right now, talking about the number of topics, focusing in the last few minutes, specifically on the ongoing anti-ICE riots in L.A. Also mentioned that he is working with senators on ostensibly a bill that would send people to jail for a year, he said, for those who burn American flags. Now, we should note that the Supreme Court has previously found that to be an exercise of freedom of speech protected under the First Amendment. We are going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Garrett Wymer here, President Trump there, speaking at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. This is part of a celebration, the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. Let's go ahead and listen in to what the president is saying here. He's been talking about the military. He's been talking about these anti-ICE protests and riots going on in Los Angeles. Been talking about a number of other topics as well. Go ahead and listen in.
Great women, actually. The great patriots. We will use every asset at our disposal to quell the violence and restore law and order right away. We're not going to wait 7 days and 8 days and wait for a governor that's never going to call and watch cities burn. And let me tell you, if we didn't do this, Los Angeles would burn. It would be burning to the ground right now, just like the houses burned to the ground just a few months ago. And the only flag that will wave triumphant over the streets of Los Angeles is the American flag. So help me God. The American flag is the one that's going to wave triumphantly over the streets. And now let's get back to the true reason we're here today, celebrating 250 years of unbreakable Army courage. This week we commemorate not just the starting point in Army history, but a turning point in the history of the world. That's how important it is. When the Continental Congress created the Army and appointed its first commander, name happened to be George Washington. Has anybody heard of him? George Washington. Are you okay, darling? Are you all right? Yeah, take your time, please. Doctor, please. Doctor. Doctor in the house. Thank you. Thank you very much. These are great people. They've been waiting here a long time, General, so, you know, we want to give them all the time they need, right? Thank you very much. Greatest people in the world. They are amazing. Amazing. Oh, good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, honey. Thank you. Beautiful young person. Beautiful young person. We have a lot of young people. You know, they have. We won young people, old people, and everything in between. It's sort of nice. Remember, they used to say, but Trump doesn't have the young people. We won everything. Thank you very much, Doctor. Great job. When the Continental Congress created the Army and appointed its first commander, General George Washington, they sent the fierce spirit of a free nation into battle under a rallying cry that echoes to this day. Give me liberty or give me death. Have you heard of it? Quite a beautiful statement. Think of what that means. Give me liberty or give me death. I know exactly what that means. Just 3 days after the birth of the Army, the great patriot, founding father, Dr. Joseph Warren, was on the front lines as a soldiers stood totally outnumbered and outgunned at Bunker Hill. They had a group of soldiers against them that was supposed to be, in that day, unbeatable. Warren's mother had begged him, son, please don't do it. She said, please, please don't do it. Don't risk your life for even the patriot cause, please. And he replied, wherever danger is, dear mother, there your son will be. I will either set my country free or shed my last drop of blood to make us so. So beautiful. So the words are so beautiful. At Bunker Hill, Warren kept his vow, fighting and fighting and fighting and loving his country until he fell, drenched in blood, and gave his life at the very young age of 34. Exactly 250 years later, we are joined by Dr. Warren's great-great-great-great-great-grandson, and it's 7 generations down, and now an Iraq war veteran, retired Army specialist, Scott Warren, is here with his daughter, Sergeant E5 Carrington Sanders of Fort Irwin. I want to just, where are you? Where would you be in this big crowd? Thank you very much. What an honor.
President Trump speaking at Fort Bragg. We've listened to him for the last little bit speak about a number of topics. We are getting ready to wrap up our coverage here on Fox 35 News Plus, but you can continue to watch that on Live Now or on our Fox 35 Orlando YouTube page. I want to let you know one update here on a story we brought you earlier. It appears, according to court records, that the motion hearing in the case of suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez has been canceled. That was originally scheduled for noon tomorrow. That hearing on a motion to a bond reduction motion. So that hearing has been canceled. No date for that has been set. It has not been rescheduled. Well, that is going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus today. We appreciate you joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. We are here weekdays, 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. with Fox 35 News Plus and with Florida Live. That's our 2 o'clock show that streams with a statewide focus. We have a lot of things already planned for tomorrow as well, so we hope you join us for that. I'm going to go ahead and send things out to Studio B for the start of Fox 35 News at 5. You see John and Marlisa getting ready for that newscast, which begins in just about a minute right here on Fox Local. I want to let you know a little bit of what we're following up on. Fox 35's Randy Hildreth just spoke with the Titusville mayor. She's following up on this police officer who has been cleared by prosecutors in this deadly shooting of a 25-year-old that happened back in February. It's caused some controversy in that Brevard County community. But again, a lawful and justified force, according to the state attorney, when it comes to the shooting of that 25-year-old man. We are also following up on the latest in this the case against Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez, and also, of course, tracking those incoming storms, which we are expecting in the next little bit. In fact, I just got some lightning notifications from my Fox 35 Storm Team app on my phone just a little bit ago, so something certainly to watch for, especially if you're heading out to that concert tonight, Camping World Stadium. Post Malone and Jelly Roll expected to get underway shortly, but certainly could be impacted by the weather. So we appreciate you joining us. Again, send things out here to Studio B for the start of Fox 35 News at 5, which begins now in just seconds right here on Fox Local.
Right now on Fox 35 News at 5.
And I wanted to up his car.
A mother accused of trying to run